this is Paranormal Encounters, and my name is Brenda McGee. If you have any activity, or if you have anything that you don't understand, or if you have questions about the paranormal, you can email me at paranormalencountertv9@gmail.com. And I'd like to introduce my guest today, Kira Stiles. Thank you, Kira, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Kira, we do know each other for quite a while. I know you're a medium, and I know that you're a paranormal investigator, and you also do writing about the paranormal and different things. So can you tell me what your first experience was in an investigation or anything like that?
Yes, it was quite an interesting way to start my life as an investigator, because it was actually my second investigation. One of my team members actually got possessed.
Oh, jeez.
While we were on the investigation. It was, to this day, I'm not even sure exactly what happened, but I do know that it was dark then in the room. We were checking on each other, and we couldn't see each other, but we could hear each other. And we were checking on each other, and we got to this one guy in the group, and we called for him, but he didn't answer. And we knew something was wrong, so somebody turned on the lights. And I mean, I've heard so many things, and I have to be honest, I've been a skeptic most of my life. It's, paranormal ghosts, come on now, really, get real. But that night, when I looked at this man, and I saw him slither across the floor like a snake, like no human being could ever move in my life. And his eyes were orange. That was one thing I will never, ever forget. His eyes were orange. Because people have said to me, oh, yeah, he's got pink eye. No, listen to me. His eyes were orange. They were not pink. They were orange. And, I mean, at least it was a good thing at least we had somebody on site to help take care of it as far as demonologist goes. And, well, I guess you could call it an exorcism, because there was something that just did not belong inside this man. And like I said, he was slithering across the floor. His eyes were orange. He was hissing. He was spitting. And it was scary. And I mean, okay, like I said, other things that people are throwing in, maybe he had pink eye, maybe he was sick. No, this guy was perfectly fine when we were on our way there. He was perfectly fine when we were on our way home. But in this little while, about an hour and a half or so, that this went on, he was not him. He was somebody completely different, and it was scary. Now, did that last a long time, or did it seem like it was forever because all of this was happening? Of course, it did. It did. And I mean, there was like so many things that I remember going through my mind, but at the same time, there was like so much of it that I just was so freaked out that it is. But I do remember thinking, especially with the orange eyes, I remember thinking to myself, don't look into his eyes. Don't look into his eyes. Don't look, because I didn't want it inside me. Right. I mean, like I said, it was only my second investigation, and here's this happening to like somebody I knew. And right. I mean, if he couldn't stop it, I was brand new at this. Well, what was I going to do to stop it? That's a scary situation. It was quite scary, but thankfully, like I said, everything worked out well. It went away finally, and he came back, and he was perfectly fine on the way home afterwards, and he's been perfectly fine since, more or less, Yeah. But now, after that happened, did that make you think, is this something that I really want to still do? Because people don't realize that this is reality, that things like this do happen, and it is scary. And sometimes, it's happened to me when I've gone on investigations. I was, there was one episode that I had when I first started out also, and I didn't expect them that they followed or anything like that, and I was like, do I really want to do this? So people really need to know this stuff isn't made up. It's not, it is kind of like the movies. They, of course, make it a little bit scarier than it can be. Oh, yeah, for sure. Hollywood's Hollywood. They're going to go on anything they can, make it as scary as possible. But I mean, interestingly enough, even after that, even after seeing that happen, I was still skeptical. Right. It was still like, okay, well, that happened. I mean, in my own mind, like I said, seeing it happen, and all the times that people were like, oh, he had pink eye or whatever, or he was sick or whatever, and I was able to turn around and say, no, this is what I saw. But my mind at the same time, I'm going, did I really, though? was that real? It didn't happen to me. It happened to him.
Right.
Could there have been something that, that happened that he did, or still, I was still skeptical. So yes, by all means, I was still okay.
And this was actually only the second time that you've gone with them, so you know them, but you really don't know them. So you could be like, are they putting on a show for these people or anything like that? But
exactly.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell sometimes. So I get the skeptics. And something, until they have an experience, or till they talk with someone who's had an experience and they trust that person, or even just the evidence itself. I mean, they have to go with what you say, and they can either believe it or not believe it. Yeah.
And I think for a lot of them, it's personal experience.
Yeah.
It has to be, it happened to you, where you can look back at it and say, well, I didn't fake it. I didn't do this, and I didn't set up that, and this did. That just happened because of something that I can't explain.
Right. And I love it when, people will say, oh, I've never experienced, like when you're around a bunch of people or something, and then they pull you to the side and say, oh, I didn't want them to know, but yeah, this happened